Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the shout out back there. Appreciate it. Okay, so my name is Scott Dodge. I'm an SEO specialist over at 3D Marketing. Quite a few of us 3Ders have done stuff here. Manos did some. Jeff Sauer, our VP, has done quite a few. So I'm basically here to talk to you about why you shouldn't be napping on your nap and some local SEO tools that you can use to fix that crap. And yeah, that was all Mikey with that title because I was kind of floundering, and he made it work. So, all right, so we'll kind of jump into it. I might go kind of fast because I think I have kind of a lot of stuff. But we'll have quite a few questions afterwards. So, okay, so nap consistency. We kind of talked about it. Kind of want to cover why it's important. I know kind of some of the other people had alluded to it a little bit, but I have kind of a visual example that I think kind of nails it in. So here's what nap consistency is not. It's not like sleeping every day at the same time. It's actually how consistently listed your business name, address, and phone number is in some of the major Internet Yellow Pages directories. And of course, we've probably seen this quite a few times tonight. I kind of refer to it as like the Bible of what's going on in local search. I actually have this printed out and hung on my wall. I kind of want to make a t-shirt, maybe a throw pillow or something out of it, because I use it all the time. So basically these are kind of the biggest areas of local search, the biggest sites. You're able to see kind of these areas like other people talked about, Localese, Info Group, Axiom, these really being kind of the huge data providers that really feed a ton of other sites. So here's kind of my visual example of nap consistency, so how all these search engines interpret this information. So annoyingly so, Google will trust what a data provider has over what you, the business owners, say. So if they find these inconsistencies, it can become just an absolute nightmare, like trying to remove a duplicate or correcting information. I'm sure some people in the audience have experienced some of that, right?
Yes.
Maybe? Okay, good, excellent. So here's kind of like what they will see. So for example, so here's what our address is. This is our consistent nap that we're using. I'm kind of picking on my own company here. We recently moved locations a couple of years ago, and we haven't necessarily got around to cleaning it all up yet. So I'm sorry. I'm working on it. So basically, here's kind of the consistent name, address, phone number that we've been listing. And if City Search has this, something a little different. We see another phone number here, another spelling of St. Paul, and say another one has our old address, and another one has yet another incorrect. Maybe we had a tracking number that we wanted to see where all these leads were coming from. This was at the beginning of our company in our CEO's basement. As you can see, it's like, what does that even mean? This is how kind of Google is running through all these different sites, and they're saying, okay, so they're matching it all up. So why nap consistency is important. So if you are an expert, or if you have just really nailed this down, or if you're actually starting off as a new business, kind of the world is your oyster because you don't have to deal with any of this legacy data or old locations there or all these kinds of things. This is the way you want to do it. So any place that Google can find your name, address, and phone number, it's exactly the same. Etc., etc. So when Google sees this, they're able to be like, okay, boom, that's exactly where they are, bingo. So that's absolutely what we want to happen. As I said before, it can be a little difficult because all this other trusted information gets into the places index. And so basically, my talk is going to be kind of focusing on how to identify all of these because. Personally, in an agency environment, we've inherited clients where they've recently bought out another location. So, there was a previous company that was at that location for 10 years. So that information's gotten everywhere. We have a different business name, different phone number, all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to kind of share with you the process that I use to kind of identify some of this stuff because it can be kind of intimidating at some times. So step one, I would always say, just really start with Info Group, Localese, and Axiom. And I say that because this is a really good study done by Mike Blumenthal and David Mim, kind of talking about the time to live. So as you can see, if you, on day 0, list an info group, localese the basic, and Axiom, I mean, it could take as long as 250 days for that information to get back into the Google local cluster. Like, that's forever. I mean, so if you're cleaning up like an incorrect listing, like you found a old location or something like that, or maybe an old business name, you really need to hit these right away, because or else you're just going to be waiting forever. And if you're closing out duplicate Google Places listings that keep appearing, because locally says it's there, you're going to be dealing with that for potentially 250 days. So start there, best place to start. And additionally, when we talk about kind of that Google Places data ecosystem, you're kind of adding like a force multiplier effect. So you don't have to go to all these tiny little mom and pop directories, it seems like, dealing with like Yellowbot or like Kudzu, not Kudzu, that's actually kind of a good one, like Hot Frog or something like that. People that are just going to be like, oh, hey, you want to claim your business? How about you pay $300 a month and we will add a picture of it and do all these things. It just gets really annoying. So if you just clean it up at the source, your life's going to be way easier. So here's kind of my process to kind of rapidly or kind of scalably identify these issues and kind of come up with a, so the end goal here is to come up with a list of things you need to clean and things you don't need to clean. So my process is I like to start with a thing called factual. I'll go into each of these in kind of detail, and then kind of take that information, plug it into Whitespark, and then go to Screaming Frog if necessary. So basically, factual is like a huge database of business information. They have about 66 million listings. I didn't know about it too much until about like 6 months ago. There's a guy, Dave McCullough, if anybody knows him, he's over at Yodel. He kind of put it in front of me, and it's been really awesome. But kind of in the way that, like the Yext tool works, where you can kind of put in a business name and a phone number, and it'll kind of find and see your score. It kind of works like that, but the thing I really like about it is that a lot of those free tools, like the Yext or the Get Listed one, they kind of fall flat when you have really inconsistent phone numbers or business names or addresses, because they rely on those things. But when we use a tool like Factual, all we need to do is like put in a business name and like a state, and then it gives us all this information. So here, we're able to see that, hey, okay, so Factual somewhere has found that there's a 3D marketing listing out there at our old address. So like, okay, this is a problem. And so if you jump into there, you can kind of see like, okay, so what's different here? We got an incorrect address, we got an incorrect phone number. What's interesting over here is if you see we're categorized as a bar. I think that was actually Jeff's hour on our Foursquare page. We're categorized as a dive bar. So I think that's kind of made its way into Factual, interestingly enough. But so as we can see here, we have, so 777-6601, that's our old phone number. Our new is 7701, very closely. But so what we're really going to do here is we're going to come up with a list of everything that's listing that old name, address, and phone. Not name, but address and phone number. And then kind of when we get there, we want to search and destroy. So basically, after on a Factual, I want to jump into Whitespark. So we have this old, basically, let me step back a little bit. Whitespark is a great local citation finder. We've talked about the local rank tracker, but kind of their bread and butter and original tool was the local citation finder. So basically what you can do is you can plug in a business name and a phone number, and within about, I get my results in about like less than 5 minutes. They'll like spit back an entire list of all these. And it's great because what it does is it'll order them by like domain authority. They pull in SEO Moz, Mozscape data. So it's really, really useful stuff. And then basically, so you plug this into Whitespark, and then you get an entire list of everywhere that you need to clean up. So because if they have your old phone number, they probably got your old address, whatever. So you really need to go pick and clean those up. And these are some pretty authoritative things. Like, citations from YouTube videos can actually provide a lot of weight. Things like SlideShare maybe as well too, if it's a presentation that maybe went viral and had a lot of links coming into it. Basically, it's really important to have this clean map. So then what you can basically do is you can export all this into a CSV, and just kind of work your Excel magic. But yeah, so basically when you kind of find some of these incorrect listings, you kind of start to reverse engineer. Like for example, say if you didn't take my advice earlier and you ignored Localese and Axiom and Info Group, and you're seeing your incorrect business listing showing up in Hot Frog, Mojo Pages, Yellow Dot, White Pages, Best of the Web, Local, you're probably like, okay, I should probably just go straight to Localese. You can kind of just reverse engineer that. But again, so I always do like to start with those top three. But yeah, so you're able to kind of identify who's got the wrong info about your business. So what if you're in the situation where, say, you moved addresses and your phone number didn't change? Don't worry, spider trap people, I'm not picking on you. It was just like the only thing I was like, man, who has done that recently? And I know Aaron would be on top of it. But it's a great example of, you know, a company just totally moving spots. So as you can see here, you know, they used to be on 118 East 26th, Suite 203. Now they're on 1625 Hennepin Avenue. And basically what we want to do is we want to take this information, throw it into a great tool called Screaming Frog. If anybody, Screaming Frog? Yeah, absolutely. It's like the Swiss Army knife of SEO tools. It's like 99 pounds per year. It's run by a British guy. And it's worth like 20 times that. It's amazing. But basically what you can do, so the issue here is that, you know, because their phone number didn't change, it's going to be kind of hard to dig up, you know, say, listings with old phone numbers. But we can find listings with bad addresses pretty easily. So what we do is we throw in the correct phone number to Whitespark. We get an entire list of all these citations. And then we export it into a CSV. Then we take that CSV, throw it into a TXT document, just the URL list. And then what you can do with the TXT is Screaming Frog is a list mode. So they're also like, it's basically like a site crawler. You can do it two ways. You can either just put in a URL and it'll crawl, or you can have a text file of URLs and it will just crawl that list of URLs. So basically what we have here is a text file filled with every citation about Spider Trap. It's starting to like kind of come together. What we do here is that we have this, in this configuration menu, there's a custom. And what this does is actually, it will run through all of those URLs and look for something in the HTML code, and then categorize based on that. Like a lot of people use this you can very quickly crawl your site and see if Google Analytics is properly implemented on every page. Because you basically create a filter that contains the UA code and the one that does not. And then you have a list of, okay, I need to put it on here. So what this ends up doing is splitting up, because I use this unique identifier, just the street address, just because, you know, when we think about an address like 118 East 26th, I'm sure a lot of people have dealt with, you know, different formatting with addresses. You know, this could be maybe on like one citation, maybe it could be 118 26th Street East. Otherwise, you know, then this system would not find that inconsistency. So basically what we end up with is an entire list, one column. We get everything with the old address that we need to clean up, and then everything with the new address that is pretty much good to go. So this is kind of just a quick way to just kind of scalably find this stuff and just end up with an actionable list of what you need to do. So yeah, and then after that, after you got that list, now it's time to get cleaning. Sorry, I'm not like trying to be sexist or anything here. It's just like I was Googling searching for like cleaning images, and it worked. So basically, stop napping on your nap. Use these tools to fix that crap. We got Factual, Whitespark, and Screaming Frog Pro. I'm Scott Dodge, and thanks for listening. Darren over at Whitespark's a really nice guy, and I was talking to him. I was like, hey, you know, we're talking about local. Your business is, your bread and butter is local. More people need this tool. And he was gracious enough to give us all a 20% off local citation finding discount. And this works like, I think it starts at like 20 or 30 bucks a month, but it will do 20% off every month. So pretty good deal. He's a pretty nice guy. I would tweet at him and maybe say thank you or something like that. But I would highly recommend getting the citation finder. It's doing a lot of local stuff, just an absolute breeze. So yeah, thanks again, everybody. And I think we're going to do questions now. So.